Hello, you are very welcome to the podcast of Curious Souls.
And you're welcome to leave anytime you want.
I love this.
Okay, my love.
Okay,
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
What else were you born to do?
Oh my god, you don't want to hear all of it now.
Where would you like to start?
I would like to ask you, how are you?
I'm doing much better. I actually took a couple mood activators.
I didn't know this.
It was my little secret. And
My baby keeps secrets from me.
somewhere between finishing some administrative stuff that I'd been working on this morning and this mood activator kicking in, like I have an energy kick and my mood has changed. And I'm very happy for this because I was feeling dense and painful and grumpy this morning, as you
Yes,
might have noticed.
I noticed. It was very difficult not to notice.
I wasn't trying to hide it either.
I know it's also so sweet because your grumpiness is by disconnecting and avoiding. So it's not like, it's not like it's coming towards me. It's like I just feel you. And we are going to talk about today how does it play out and where it's all coming from. So I just find it sweet that we start with this.
Yes. So maybe we talk about what we're going to talk about today.
Good idea. Tell us.
We were excited to record a new episode.
It became one of our preferred things to do.
True. And we were trying to decide what we want to talk about, what we want to share this time. And we're walking on the beach and considering like what's alive in our life right now. We're working with a few couples, and of course, we're deeply involved in our own relationship. We thought, oh, relationship.
Mm-hmm.
There's like so many familiar dynamics playing out. And we've been wanting to talk about masculine and feminine as well.
Mm-hmm.
And because we experience so much confusion, what we hear is different uses of the word masculine and feminine. And we thought we could weave it all into one episode.
Yes, let's see if we can do this.
So we actually tried to do this, right?
We did, we started.
And what happened?
Nothing. We became so airy and things were not sticking and something didn't work.
We want to take this time today to talk about our relationship. Two things is creating our reality.
Yes. And how masculine and feminine is playing a role in it.
Our hopes are that our hopes are always that we're able to share things that are expanding people's awareness and ability to choose so that they can create more of what they want in their life.
Exactly. We are going to talk today about masculine and feminine and about how men and women, feminine and masculine, are four different things. We want also to weave this idea of feminine and masculine and how it plays out in the human experience and in relationship.
Beautiful.
Okay. So before we go into feminine and masculine, I just want to take a minute to zoom out. If you can think about the existence as one thing, the wholeness of everything, in order for creation to start or to happen, there needs to be a split. And the first split is to a feminine and a masculine energy. And you can find it if you look at all the religious and mysticism and philosophies, you find it everywhere. You find the yin and yang concept in the Chinese, you find Shakti and Shiva in the Hindu, you find Shekhinah and Elohim in the Jewish. You find this idea of the split, the first split of the whole to two polarities that are in tension, represented in every theory, theology, mysticism, everywhere. Because that's what allows creation. And now I think it's really interesting to understand what is masculine energy and what is feminine energy, because we are not talking, and I'm saying it again, and we will say it many times throughout the podcast, we are not talking about men and women. We are talking about feminine energy and masculine energy. Each one of them is running through every creation, holds those two polarities. Would you agree?
I would. Maybe we can talk a bit about what masculine and feminine is for us if it's not related to men and women.
Beautiful. So when we talk about the masculine energy, we talk about the energy that creates structure, the energy that creates focus, the energy that creates direction.
And it does this through separation,
Exactly.
through differentiating,
More
because
than
there,
separation, maybe differentiation. So that's the pure masculine energy. Again, it is presenting itself through a woman's body. It's her need for order, for cleaning things, for organizing things, for, like for example, I love my Tupperwares. That's my masculine energy that is presenting itself through the wish to have order in my fridge. The feminine energy is completely different. She is the exact other polarity. She is free. She is constantly moving and changing. She is pure potentials of endless potentials. She's wild. Anything else you would like to say about her?
yeah, for me,
About
in
it?
her essence, feminine energy is formless. And its energy is very much about connection. If the masculine is about separation, the feminine energy is about connection towards oneness.
Exactly. So the feminine energy is pulling towards connection, and the masculine energy is pulling towards separation and definition, not separation for the sake of separation, but the separating one thing from another so you can define, and that's how it builds structures and order and direction in a universe that actually doesn't have it if it's all feminine.
Yeah, so if we're looking at the human experience, like how does this relate to the human experience?
So, if we established the understanding what is a feminine energy and what's a masculine energy, and that each one of them exists and plays out in a man's body and in a woman's body.
When you mean body, we don't just mean physical body, right? You mean in the human experience of a man and woman, right?
Yes.
Because it plays out in their mind,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
spirit.
yeah. Yes.
I just want to be clear.
So, what do you say? Let's dive in and maybe you can take us into how does the feminine and the masculine energy plays out in the human experience?
So I'll start in like the broadest sense.
Please.
Feminine is receiving. In the human experience, we're receiving through our senses.
Yes.
So it's receiving infinite information
all the time.
all the time. The masculine is what's giving this information organization, definition, and meaning. This experience of sensing everything, we call this awareness. And consciousness is interpreting this information.
Exactly.
We experience sensations, and consciousness is this saying, this is hot, this is cold, or this is right, this is wrong.
The awareness is the direct experience of the thing.
Yes.
The consciousness is the story, the interpretation we give to it.
Yes.
For example, I think you brought this example, it was beautiful.
Emotions versus feelings. Is that what you're thinking
No,
of?
but this is also a good one. I was talking about the water. You can explain to someone how water feel like when you go into the water. But it's very different than the direct experience of diving into the pool.
Yes, or drinking water.
Or drinking water. So drinking the water, going into the pool is awareness. Trying to explain it to someone else is conscious.
Or giving it meaning. The water is cool. The water tastes good. The waves are good.
Yes.
That's consciousness.
Yeah.
And another example, because we talk about this so much and it's another source of confusion, is we experience a lot of confusion between emotions and feelings.
True.
And for us, emotions is the feminine experience of sensing.
Yes.
It's pure sensation. It's not yet a feeling which has a name like anger or joy. What happens is we experience a sensation, then it meets our mind, which has a story about what this is, the context it's in, and what does it mean to me. And that creates the reality. That is when the masculine meets the feminine and creates the reality for us.
Exactly.
The meeting point of the feminine and masculine in the human experience can be described through the four centers of consciousness that we put on what we call the medicine wheel of consciousness. Would you like to talk a little bit about how it's experienced through the mind?
Sure. So let's take a minute and just remind people what do we mean by this wheel, because maybe some of the people didn't hear us before. So we are talking about the wheel of mind in the north, spirit in the east, heart in the south, and body in the west. And now we want to go through each one of those centers of consciousness and see how the masculine energy and the feminine energy are playing out through those centers of consciousness. Yes?
Which by definition means they are giving meaning to experience in different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So let's start with the mind.
Yes.
Yes? The primarily intelligence of the mind is the ability to define. And it does it by separating one thing from another. It separates the darkness from the light. It separates the good from the bad. It separates the head from the fingers. That's how the mind help us recognize different things. Because otherwise, everything stays as one soup. That's the basic role of the mind before we start talking about what happens if the masculine energy or the feminine energy is out of balance in this center. What happens if the masculine energy is too high, I would say, in the mind becomes rigid. It becomes the judgmental. It knows everything, and it has no curiosity about anything else. It's also can be threatened by anything that is challenging its own perception and its own definitions. Now, when the mind has a over feminine energy, this can also happen. Then you get a very scattered mind. Okay, like ADHD, for example, it's over feminine energy in the mind. You can have a lot of confusion. You can have a manipulative mind, and it's losing itself in every option. It's very scattered. It's all over the space. People that their mind is over feminine are losing themselves many times, or when you listen to them, you cannot follow what they say. Agree?
Agreed.
Okay. If we agree about the mind, maybe you can take us to the body.
I would love to.
Okay.
A lot of the expressions that happen in each center of consciousness are expressed similarly in the other. The human experience of an unbalanced masculine in the body
Yes.
can be experienced through stiffness, through rigidity, through lack of flexibility.
Yeah.
If you think of a bodybuilder who works out to gain definition and gain strength, but so much so that it loses mobility, it can't wipe its own ass, for example. That's an unbalanced masculine body. Also, people, like even like myself at points in my life, you say they have a stick up their ass.
Yeah.
It's like they're so uptight. They're so afraid to let loose. They're so afraid to be seen as not put together. So they're holding themselves together so tight that the body becomes almost brittle with rigidity.
Yes.
You can also experience this in stoic faces that don't express emotion. It's like always the same face. I've had this face for many, many years. I still have this face. Masculine body is very defined. You usually see the muscles, you usually see the curves and the structure because the structure is what's masculine. On the other hand, a body that is unbalanced in the feminine is going to be very round. It's going to lack definition. A feminine body can't even hold itself up because it lacks the structural integrity to do so. So it often collapses or hunches over. It becomes sloppy and ungrounded. Sometimes you see these people that look like they're walking on air, like almost on their toes, and they lack grounding. Because the body is the one that is sensing everything, like awareness is coming through the body. A body that is unbalanced feminine will be sensing everything, but not knowing where itself begins it and ends, where anything begins and ends. It doesn't know who am I feeling, what am I sensing, what's happening. I'm overwhelmed in sensation. And a balanced body is a body that is structured and flexible, strong and soft, that is able to contain and to be free at the same time.
It also a body that can hold polarities. It can hold being comfortable and being uncomfortable.
Yes, I think it's a great point. Actually, if we're looking for a single measure of how balanced or healthy a center of consciousness is its ability to hold polarities.
Exactly.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, so what happens when masculine and feminine meet in the heart?
We need to understand first that the heart, by its definition, like the mind definition is masculine, the body definition is a mix between masculine and feminine. The heart, by its definition, is a feminine. It holds a feminine aspects. Still, both energies, masculine and feminine, are running through this center of consciousness that is feminine by definition. So if the masculine is not in balance in the heart center, the person will not be able to connect. It will be guarded, will be closed, disconnected, and afraid from intimacy, afraid from connection. If the feminine is not balanced in the center of consciousness of the heart, then you have the exact opposite. You have someone that is losing themselves in other, that has no idea what's theirs and what's not. You know, like I hear many people saying, I'm an empath. What they are actually saying is that their heart center is overflowed with feminine and they don't know how to hold themselves whilst they are also reaching out and connecting to others, which is the masculine, which is the definition, which is the separation between myself and others. And then when they sense others, they lose themselves. So now we understand the center of the mind and how the unbalanced feminine and masculine play out, and how does it look when the mind is balanced. We did the same for the heart center. Are you willing to take us to the spirit?
Spirit. Spirit, in its essence, has no form. It is timeless. It is formless. It is everything, everywhere, all at once. It is the all. It's connected to all. Its intelligence is oneness. When we're having a spiritual experience, we are connected to the energy. We are becoming one with the experience. When I have a spiritual experience with music, I am one with the music. When I'm having a spiritual experience with nature, I'm becoming one with nature. I am breathing with the plants. I'm breathing with the ecosystem I am in. Now, in the human experience, spirit is often related to religion and to the mystery. When this is unbalanced in the masculine, then religion becomes dogma, where there are rules to how to be religious. This is the right and wrong way to be Christian or Jewish. And if you're not doing this, then you're not. When it's unbalanced in the masculine, the fear of the mystery is so great that we gravitate to certainty. When it is unbalanced in the feminine, it lacks grounding. It can become a vehicle for avoidance and escapism, like chasing spiritual experiences. We know the term spiritual bypassing. It's a way of avoiding reality and not being grounded. That's when it's unbalanced. When it's balanced, you have mystery with embodiment. You have wonder and discernment. You have intuition.
With the ability to act upon.
Yeah, and apply it.
Yes.
So a healthy spirit is, again, like all the rest, holding the polarities. It's holding the infinite without abandoning the reality in the moment.
Yes.
One of the reasons we put these on a wheel is because one is balancing the other, one is the polarity of the other. So if the essence of spirit is the infinite, the presence of the body is what's anchoring it. The airiness is balanced by the ground of the body, by the density. And the density of the body has breath through the spirit.
Yeah.
You spoke about the heart and mind relationship as well.
Yes.
And that's really what we're pointing to, is that it's all through relationship. And there's opportunity to balance and create through relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When the mind lacks heart, it becomes judgmental, it becomes isolated. And when the heart lacks body, it lacks discernment and
Yeah.
separation.
Yes.
Yay. So maybe we can get curious
Please. My
about
favorite thing to do.
about what takes us in and out of balance.
Yummy. That's a yummy conversation. Okay. What takes the feminine and the masculine out of balance is what is called the feminine wound and the masculine wound. Before we talk more about how do they take it out of balance, I think it's important for us to say that those wounds are inherent and part of the energy, because that's what allows the gate to the other energy. If you wouldn't have the masculine wound inherent in the masculine, and you will not have a feminine wound inherent in the feminine, there will not be a pull to wholeness.
And that's how they're drawn into relationship.
Exactly. So let's look into the masculine and feminine wound. Are you willing to talk about the masculine wound?
The masculine wound, its primary fear is losing itself. If its essence is definition and differentiation, its fear is losing that. It becomes very much about independence, sovereignty, and identity. How am I different from this? And what is my structure? That's its intelligence, is the structure. What happens is that it becomes so protective of its identity and structure that it becomes isolated. And in this isolation, it experiences scarcity. It experiences being alone, not having. And the experience it ends up having is not enoughness. So the masculine wound ends up being an experience of scarcity. And what it's longing for is connection.
That's exactly the polarity. This longing is what calling on the healing.
Yes.
Beautiful. You know, it's interesting to look at what you are sharing through the first moment of the human creation, which is when the sperm is entering the egg. If you look through a microscope, you can see that the egg is much bigger than the sperm. And then you have all those millions that are running towards the egg. And then this little one that is succeeding or invited, she's opening herself up for this specific sperm to come in. The moment it comes in, it inherently ignites the fear to lose itself in the egg.
Great example. Would you like to talk about the feminine wound?
Sure. So if we said that the wound of the masculine is to lose control, is this what we are saying?
Its fear is to lose its structure or definition, identity, to lose itself.
And it's handling with this fear by
Controlling.
trying to get more and more and more control on what it is and what it's not.
Yes.
So holding the definitions of the things. The feminine wound, which is again inherent in her, because she needs the freedom to be, to explore, to express, to overflow, to be in movement all the time. Its fear, the feminine fear, is from suffocating, from losing its freedom,
From being controlled.
from being controlled. Exactly.
From losing life, from losing movement, from losing its essence.
Yeah. And this fear is many times representing itself through the human experience into I'm too much. If the masculine would represent itself in the human experience from I'm not enough, and that's why I need to control more and more and more, the feminine wound is representing itself in the human experience through I'm too much. So I need
to tone myself
to
down.
tone myself down. Exactly.
And all of these wounds are invitations to wholeness.
Yes, the masculine is longing for connection. The feminine is longing for sovereignty. Sovereignty is masculine. The feminine is longing to the masculine. Connection is feminine. The masculine is longing for the feminine. This longing is what creates the potential healing, is what creates then the opportunity to create something new and bigger.
Yes. And for us, healing is wholing,
Yes,
becoming more whole.
again and again and again. So what we are actually saying that the wounds are inherent. They are not the problem, right? The problem is the relationship we have to the wound.
Wounds and gifts are the same thing,
Yes,
depending on our relationship to it.
exactly.
Our greatest gifts come from our deepest wounds, and behind everyone's greatest gift is a deep wound. So when we change our relationship to the wound from a problem to an opportunity to become more whole, then the experience becomes very different.
This, exactly. Also, I think there is something in the spiritual communities that I experience is that there is a goal to become whole or to become enlightenment or become whatever. And there is an expectation that at some point everything will be perfect. I will be healed, I will be whole. And then it means what? Many people tell us, I will be always happy. But that's not the human experience. Understanding and completely accepting that the wound is inherent and it's actually the portal that we have to create our new wholeness. And it's infinite as long as we live in this body. Then we can start addressing those wounds as potential gifts and portals.
Ultimately, we are curious about the art of conscious creation. And the more parts of ourselves that we have to create with, the more we can create. The more we are disconnected from parts of ourselves, then our subconscious begins creating for us, and we create from our wounds. So the reason we're curious to become more whole is we're no longer creating from our wounds. We can begin creating from our desires and from wholeness, from more materials to create with.
So if we understand that the wounds are inherent, we also need to take into account that our society, our culture, and our education is teaching us how to handle those inherent wounds. In our culture, because it's mainly masculine energy dominated culture, we are printed from the beginning and connecting masculine to men and feminine to woman. We don't allow and we don't educate to each man and woman, each child and girl to find and develop their own balance between their own masculine and feminine energies. I'll give you an example. So, when a child is born and you are going to buy a gift, what's the first question you ask? Is it a boy or a girl? Why? All the education that we bring to our children is combining masculine with men and feminine with women. So we want our women to hold as much as possible this feminine, but only part of the feminine, the gentle, the receiving, the accepting feminine energy. And we want the men to hold the structure, the direction, and the definition. What you have because of this is not only that those wounds are inherent, now their expression because of the education is bigger and bigger. So the wound don't become a present, don't become a gate to an exploration of how do I balance my own feminine and masculine energy. I believe as a woman, because of the education, that there is an ideal woman somewhere and she is holding only very specific
Qualities.
qualities. And there is an ideal of man which holds only specific qualities. And from this education, we meet in relationships.
Maybe you're open to sharing how these wounds play out in your life.
So for me, for example, when I'm not holding enough masculine energy in my life, I can forget meetings. I can um, not do what's really important for me and do all kinds of other things. I can get scared of everything that is structural, like finances or doing my finances or stuff like this. That's for me where my masculine energy is out of balance, it's not present enough. I'm not holding my life with enough masculine energy. So my feminine is out of balance, where she is completely crazy, lashing out, destructive, destroying, without the ability to hold the polarity.
Sweet.
Okay.
I'll give you an example from me.
Yeah.
I grew up feeling very judged. And as a result, I experienced that in order to belong, I need to be perceived a certain way. Socially, it was mostly about being cool, but depending on the social circle, I needed to behave and perform a certain way. Now, out of fear of not belonging, I clung onto this image of who I thought I was and what I thought it was to be cool. And out of fear of being seen as hypocritical or not authentic, because part of my definition of authenticity was you stay the same.
Mhm.
And as you very well know, on New Year's Eve, I met the threshold and breaking point of this egoic structure. It could not hold up with the substances that I had taken in the environment I was in. What ended up happening was I was being invited to become something new. That was my opportunity. My fear of losing my identity was not allowing this to happen. And at some point, the intelligence of my soul created an experience that brought the feminine in full force to destroy and shatter my identity.
Yes,
Had I been more flexible, had I been more curious, I could have reshaped myself. Had I been softer, I could have reshaped myself and allowed this transformation to happen less dramatically.
because the identity is masculine by definition. It's a structure. And when the structure becomes too rigid, that it cannot contain the change that you are going through, the feminine will come and will wipe it out in this way or another at some point in your life, hopefully for most people. Because if not, they will go denser and denser and denser into the identity that they are holding. And we know people like this.
Yeah, and we know entities like this.
Yes,
We know institutions.
that's a very good point.
Institutions are so afraid of change and are so locked into their structure that they are becoming increasingly controlling, period. And so they're trying to control and suppress and oppress the people and the energy and the movement around them to stop the movement and prevent the change so that they can, so their existing structure can continue to be as is.
Because this allows them control.
And this kills life. This chokes and suffocates the life force, which is the feminine, which is the change, the constant change, the one that has no form, that meets the form and has the potential to change form.
When the form, I very much agree, when the form loses the feminine and becomes over masculine, the whole purpose of its being becomes continue being. But when a masculine is in service, when the structure is in service of something else, not of its own existence, then you have a structure that supports the life, the change, the development, and the growth, and can adapt itself to the new needs. Now, when all of this was mixed between men and women, you got a big, complicated gender expectation soup.
Culture is beginning to define for us what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman. And because it's so important for us to belong, we end up giving up parts of ourselves in order to fit these images and definitions of what culture or education or government or our parents say we should be.
Exactly.
And that fragmentation is one of our inherent wounds.
So we spoke until now how feminine and masculine energies and the feminine and masculine wound are playing out on a personal level. And this is only the first level. Because all of this, the feminine and the masculine, and the feminine wound and the masculine wound, is playing out also in relationships.
And now we're moving into like personal relationships, like couples, friends, family.
Children, grandchildren, everything, boss relationship, peers relationship, all kind of human relationship. It also plays out with the relationship not only between humans, but in this episode, we will stay in the relationship between humans.
Maybe we can share some examples from our
Please,
lives of
yes,
how our wounds and wounds of maybe couples that we witness and work with.
not only couples, relationship, parents,
True.
all kinds of relationship.
Relational dynamics.
Yes, I love
Yes.
this
We'll
word.
share how some relational dynamics that we are familiar with and experience.
Yes.
Would you like to share our classic story of the first few months that I did not move in?
Yes. So the first dynamic, because we are not going to address in this podcast all dynamics that are happening in relationship, but we are going to address maybe two or three.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with something that I think many people that are in relationship will connect to it. And the first one is connection and separation.
Yes,
You
this
agree?
is when one person creates safety in separation, and the other one is looking for connection when they are triggered.
Exactly.
And this was happening to us a lot, particularly the first 3 months that I did not move in.
Exactly. I have a wound of a rejected child. Because of this, I find safety in connection. For me, separation is very scary. It means in my young parts, it means that I'm not belonging, that I'm not accepted, and that something is very wrong and very dangerous. You are very different.
My wound is that someone is trying to take my identity from me, is that someone is trying to tell me who to be, and that I'm going to lose myself if I fully surrender into the relationship.
So, what happened? Omer moved in and we started our living together after 1 year of long distance relationship that worked amazing for us, really, really good. And then he moves in, and you can imagine that in exactly 2 hours, his wound of
Needing space and independence and autonomy, especially whenever I didn't feel safe or felt triggered or emotions were running high.
and me, my rejected child, is now having a pajama party. She's like all over the place because he pulls back 10,000 times a day.
Yeah, what would happen is the moment I would feel unsafe, and really it was even much more subtle than this. The way I experienced it was I would sense Lilith's irritability. It was like not even irritation yet. It was the potential of irritation. And this is, of course, an experience I had at home and I became very sensitive to. Now, the moment I sense this, I begin walking on eggshells. I become very careful. I become more distant, but it's very subtle in the beginning. Now, you being a very sensitive human being, particularly to separation, begin to feel all I'm doing is walking on eggshells, but you already feel me less present.
Exactly. So I will lash out by trying to create a connection where you actually create more and more separation. And we were in this loop for 3 months.
Yes,
It was very difficult
it was very difficult. And throughout this 3 months, we're having conversations,
all
we're
the time.
meeting this, we're not avoiding it. And it took us 3 solid months to slowly learn what each of our individual roles were and what,
Only 3 months.
yes, only 3 months. Once we identified the loop, I think that was one of the first breakthroughs. Once I realized how my defense pattern was activating your wound and how yours was activating mine, then I could choose differently because we have no choice until we have awareness.
Yes. And for me, when I understood this loop and took into consideration my wound, when Omer needs space, when you need space, it's less and less activating my wound. And also if it activates the wound, I'm able to hold myself.
Yeah, and it was the same for me. Once I understood how my wound was activating yours, I could choose differently. I could hold myself in my wound and say, wait, I'm going to move towards connection. I would learn to immediately come to you and hold you and create connection. And then if I needed space, I also learned to communicate that rather than just
Abandon me.
abandon you. This is still a dynamic that's alive for us. We need to be conscious of it if we are to create harmony and love and connection between us and actually come out with more intimacy. And this grew to the extent that we now have separate bedrooms.
True. I have my own bedroom. This is so fun. It looks exactly as I want it to look.
And it's the connection and separation for each of us, respectively, is now less scary and it becomes an option instead of a threat.
I think that what we are saying is that the moment the relationship was not the problem and the wound was not the problem, but our each one of ours relationship with our own wound, then real change happened when I stopped expecting from you to behave differently so I will not feel abandoned. But I could realize that I have this wound and I'm absolutely capable to take care of my abandoned child. And it's not your responsibility. And when you could take the responsibility of your wound and you needing time to separate instead of walking on shells and pleasing me and going into more and more into your own loop, then things started to happen. Now, is my rejected child wound and abandoned child wound is healed forever? As we said, no, it's inherent in me. It will stay with me in this life, thankfully, because it's a great portal for me to find myself. Whenever I feel abandoned, it means I abandoned myself. So it becomes for me a portal to come back to myself. Yes. Now, I would like to ask you if you are willing to share another example of how the wounds of the masculine and the feminine plays out through relationship.
Another really common dynamic is when the one carrying more feminine energy wants to be free and feels like the other one is trying to control them. Actually, what they are seeking is stability, containment, and some kind of structure to hold them in. The partner, often in this dynamic, is the one holding the control. They are sometimes more conservative, getting things done, holding the masculine. They're the ones taking care of logistics. They have the to-do list. They are managing the finances, and they gain some form of control by doing this. Their fear is of losing control.
Also, for example, from us, because it's the closest example to us. I don't know if you remember in those 3 horrible months in the beginning, I always felt that I'm holding all the responsibility of the structure, and you felt that I'm taking away your freedom. Do you remember this?
Yes.
It's also a very interesting example for me because I am in a woman's body, but I was carrying the masculine energy, and you are in the male, but in a man's body. In this specific example, you were holding the feminine energy.
Yes.
So you were looking for more freedom, and I was looking for you. This was my projection on you. I was looking from you to take more responsibility, to do more things that has to do with the house and with the structure and all of this.
Exactly. So, as I was saying, one is holding the responsibilities, the to-dos, the logistics. In our relationship, it was you. And the other, which in this case was me, was holding this desire to stay free. Now, the irony is that I need a healthy containment and structure and masculine in order to be free, because otherwise I can't feel free. And as long as you were holding this, I was able to lean into my feminine and reject my own masculine and depend on you in turn to hold my masculine for me.
Yes,
You were seeking more freedom because you were unbalanced in holding the masculine.
yes,
And you were looking to me to take the masculine so that you could feel more freedom.
yes,
And that's the irony of these loops.
yes,
And that's how they become loops.
exactly.
So I would pull farther away from control and rules and responsibilities.
And I would go crazy.
You would end up holding more and more responsibility and rules and control.
Yes, this was difficult.
Yeah. And until each of us could become aware of the projections, well, I'll just talk about myself. Once I realized what I'm projecting onto you and the reality I'm creating for you and myself, what I was creating was dependency,
Yes,
which is seriously problematic for the part of me
that wants
that
freedom
not just that wants freedom, that identifies with being autonomous and independent.
and wanting your partner to be autonomous and independent.
Exactly. It was really difficult for me at first, but once I developed the muscle, especially using tools to stay organized, prioritizing the to-do list, to stay on top of responsibilities, to share the responsibilities of the house, of our life, to take some of this off of you, and really to just take care of my own needs. This created more freedom for you. And actually, it ended up creating more freedom for me because I was less
For
dependent for you to do it.
yes, it created more freedom for both of us
Yes.
because we could meet at Severan. You could hold your freedom and your structure, I could hold my freedom and my structure, and then we could meet together as sovereign human beings.
Without the expectations from one another, which leads to disappointment and resentment and all the
All the goodies.
drama.
All the goodies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's another dynamic that we see a lot. It exists in our relationship. I believe it exists in all relationships.
Yes.
And we witness it a lot in the clients we work with. This is around validation and self-worth.
Yes.
Would you like to share this one?
No, go ahead.
So, one person, their wound is one of self-worth, which is the masculine wound. It's feeling not enough. I'm not enough. I can never do enough. I'm not good enough.
I can never do it right. This was my story.
Yes.
I can never do it right.
This person often goes into overdoing. So they end up performing, taking care of a million things, and going overboard because what they're looking for is recognition and appreciation and validation,
Yeah,
which ultimately is looking for someone else to fill their sense of self-worth.
exactly.
Now, in this process, the person can become so absorbed in their wound that they no longer see the person they're in relationship.
Exactly.
Again, this often plays out with parent-child dynamics, in partnership, and at work, for example.
Exactly.
This person is so upset that the other in the relationship is not seeing them, that is not recognizing them and appreciating them, that all they see is what their partner is not doing.
That's very important. Can you elaborate about this?
The obsession becomes about how the person you're in relationship is not meeting you. And once you have this perception, you will find all the proof in the world that it is true. And you will lose sight of all the things that they are doing. What ends up happening is the person you're in relationship with usually feels unseen, unappreciated, and unrecognized. So the two people in this relationship dynamic are actually having the same experience, usually upset with the other that they are not seeing them, and ultimately externalizing their need of self-worth.
This is beautiful. I want to give another example of how it can play out differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, from my own personal story, in my past relationship, I was seeking validation from my partner. And the thing is that I received from him all the validations that I needed. Again and again and again and again, he was literally feeding my self-worth. So I became, how do you call it, dependent on his validation until I went to a journey. And in this journey, something happened for me. I realized this dynamic. I realized that I'm externing my need of validation to someone else. And in this relationship, not like in my even previous relationship, he gave me this for years. But what happened is that at that point, I understood this. So I came back to my relationship and I shared it. And I said, listen, I have understood that I am seeking my validation from you. I am going to take care of it because I don't want to depend on you in my self worth. But it means something else. It means that you hold the need to be the validator because it gives you the control in the relationship. It gives you the power of, because the validator holds a lot of power. He is the one to say yes or no. That's the authority as we perceive it. This didn't work out for us. This change that I was leading for myself to take back my sovereignty so I can validate myself, so I can become who I want, so I can be proud in who I am and how I behave. And as much as I pulled more and more into this, his role of the validator became empty. Now, because he didn't do his work with getting curious about this part in him that needs to validate, and I didn't need his validator anymore, something broke.
You bring up such a great example because when we're in a relationship dynamic of codependency and one person recognizes where they're exporting their own abandoned parts and needs onto someone else, and they begin to retrieve this power back to themselves, the dynamic of the relationship inherently changes. And if the partner doesn't change with it, if the other partner doesn't also recognize where their role was in the codependent relationship, where they were exporting their needs onto their partner, then the relationship has no chance.
Because what you said was very true. He needed to validate. He was externalizing this need to me. He was validating me instead to validate himself. Now, the moment I didn't need his validation anymore, he didn't know what to do with the validator. He didn't take it inside to heal his wound of not being validated.
That's what I was going for, is these relationships are perfect mirrors. What's ironic about this is he has the same wound you have.
Exactly.
And he was feeling this not enoughness and needing to be validated by the role of the validator. This was validating his authority, which made him feel more powerful or whatever it made him feel. And he was depending on the relationship that you two were in to be in this position, which validated his self-worth.
Yes.
Yummy, my love. This is a beautiful example. I love how we also flipped it.
I just want to say, for the sake of the saying, for everybody that are listening, it's not that we don't have wounds anymore. And it's not that we are not triggering each other anymore. But what is happening for us is that knowing all of this and also connecting into our relationship through the heart center, through the connection, we learn more and more to take the responsibility on our own wounds when they play out.
And we learn how to support each other in doing it
Yes.
without taking each other's responsibility or saving each other.
Yes.
So I think we're really good at creating the circumstances to say, hey, my love, are you open to a reflection? And then I reflect to you where I experience you projecting some need onto me, for example.
For example, we are also becoming really good in saying, I feel angry. I'm curious what wound in me now is playing out instead of you make me angry, meaning you need to change something.
And like most experiences, the more we do it, the more positive data we have that it is worth it, that it leads to us feeling more free and more independent and more intimate. Now, when I become triggered, I know that you love me.
Endlessly,
I know I'm supported.
all the time.
I know that my path to gaining more freedom, independence, and wholeness and to more intimacy between us is expressing what's happening for me, bringing it into the relationship, and looking for where is my responsibility.
Yes, and me the same.
There's something very comforting over time that changes the C in the wheel of creation of when this happens, it's no longer scary. It may be uncomfortable. Usually when I'm triggered, I'm not very comfortable, but I'm held in a knowing that this is an opportunity for me to become more whole with myself and more intimate with you.
Exactly. And every time after we go through a loop like this, we are more intimate.
Okay, so maybe we end by talking about what healing is for us.
And how do we heal this?
So, what is the opportunity? We're in relationship. I am getting triggered to the max every time my partner does or doesn't do something. I recognize it's a mirror. What's the healing?
Wow, that's a big question. So I would say that overall, we want to learn how to use the wounds as portals, how to harvest the gift that is hiding behind this door, which is the trigger, which is the wound. By now, for example, for my abandoned, rejected child, now I know that I carry this inherent wound in me. When it comes, when it triggers through relationship, I'm able to stop and to ask myself, okay, so there is now an potential for me to learn how to take care of myself even more, how to less abandon myself, and how not to reject whatever I'm feeling at that moment. The healing is about using the expression of the wound in order to be able to ask myself, what is my responsibility in it? Which wound of mine is playing out now in the relationship? And then, when I know it, to hold the vulnerability and the trust in my life to share it with you. And to share with you, wow, my rejected child is all over the place now. I'm curious what I'm rejecting, and then have a conversation with you and sometimes reflection from you. What do you think I'm rejecting at that moment? And then you can do the same by claiming ownership on your wound that is playing out now, and then communicate it with me, and then we can have a conversation about it.
Healing is not becoming more masculine or more feminine, it's becoming more whole.
Yes. And it's learning how in every moment we balance those two energies inside ourselves.
And what we want to create with those two energies.
Yes.
Because there is nothing wrong with being unbalanced, masculine or feminine in essence. It's really all what do you want to create? And there is a time where diving deep into the feminine of experience with no words and into the vastness of possibility is an incredible experience.
And a necessary experience to rebalance the masculine.
And there is a time, like when you're writing a contract or you're doing your taxes or engineering a spaceship that is going to go to the moon.
Or doing a surgery on someone.
It is really important for the masculine to be well defined and in the lead.
And very present.
Exacto.
I think what I would like to add here is that because we are living in a society where the masculine wound is playing out very strong, you and me hold a space which we call the hero's journey,
Hmm.
where we intentionally taking people to the experience of the uncontrolled and untamed feminine energy. Because allowing yourself to go into this energy, into the losing of the structure, and allowing yourself to experience yourself with no structure, because you don't need to belong anywhere. Everything that you do now or don't do is acceptable and allowed, and we hold the space for you. And that you are not abandoned, that you are witnessed throughout this feminine experience, actually balanced after it is balancing both your masculine energy and your feminine energy.
Transformation cannot happen when the masculine is dominant. What you're describing is not only a feminine space that allows transformation to happen, but what allows this full immersion into the feminine is the container that we hold, the safety we hold. The fact that we are holding the structure allows the participant to go deeply and immersively into the feminine where there is no structure and all possibilities exist, so they can do whatever, go crazy, lose their mind, lose all the structures, and be held in this. So when they come out, they can be met and witnessed with love and acceptance for any structure that they decide is right for them.
Exactly. Beautiful.
Yes. And there are other containers that we hold that are also private containers where we go very light dose. And this allows the masculine to be more present.
Yes, to stay present during the ceremony.
And this is often when a full transformation is actually not what's needed. What's needed is to play with what is already in our awareness when change is what is needed, not transformation.
Yes, because sometimes a change is needed. Sometimes the structure that is beautiful. It just needs a little adaptation. You don't need the full new
Overhaul.
structure.
Yeah, you don't need a new operating system.
Exactly. Because when you do need a full new operating system, you need to go deep into the feminine, lose all structure so you can find in the field of endless possibilities a new structure. Because what's happening when you are in a structure, it's very difficult to imagine another structure. You will try to recreate the same structure again and again and again. So you need to go into dissolving all structures so you can imagine, and with this to create a new one.
Want to say one last thing
Please.
as we bring this to a close? The idea around healing is often around repair and repairing what's in the past. For us, once you have brought your parts back home, the movement or the invitation is to now create your future
With the new structure.
with the new structure. If healing is restoring relationship, conscious creation is choosing how to participate in that relationship.
Can you please say it again?
If healing is restoring relationship, conscious creation is choosing how to participate in that relationship.
Exactly. And that's a very, very big difference.
Healing is recovering all of our parts. Conscious creation is choosing how to put those parts back together, how to dance with them.
So, to all the people that are listening to us, please remember that masculine and feminine energies are not men and women. In each one of you, there is masculine energy, which is the structures that you're holding, the direction that you're holding. There is the feminine energies, which are the full potentials that you are holding, the movement, the life that you are holding inside you. And the dance between those two energies is what creating your life.
You've been listening to
Lilit
and Omer.
Two curious souls.
When we're not recording podcasts, we're creating sacred spaces for self-relational and spiritual exploration.
We offer private retreats tailor-made exactly for you.
We also hold ceremonies, intimate, private, or community.
All the way to our 9-month pilgrimage called adulthood. We utilize the intelligence of plants
To guide you to meet yourself
and each other
more truthfully
playfully.
and with a lot more wonder.
Check out our website,
CuriousSouls.fun.
not .com, .fun.